Rome was not defeated in a single battle. It did not collapse overnight. There was no one dramatic moment where the empire simply fell apart. Instead, it rotted, slowly. By the 3rd century, the Roman Empire was spiraling into chaos. Between 235 and 284 AD, nearly 50 years, more than 20 emperors ruled Rome. Most did not die peacefully. They were assassinated by their own soldiers, overthrown by rivals, killed in civil wars. The throne of Rome had become the most dangerous position in the world. This period became known as the crisis of the 3rd century, and it nearly destroyed everything Rome had built. The empire faced threats on every border. Germanic tribes pushed from the north. The Sasanian Persian Empire attacked from the east. Internal revolts broke out in multiple provinces. At one point, the Roman Empire even split into 3 competing states: the Gallic Empire in the west, the Palmyrene Empire in the east, and the Central Roman Empire in Italy. For years, Rome wasn't one empire, it was fragments. Though these breakaway regions were eventually reclaimed, the damage was done. The illusion of unity had cracked. The economy collapsed. Inflation skyrocketed because emperors kept minting low-quality coins to pay soldiers. Trade weakened. Agriculture declined in some regions. Cities became unsafe. Banditry increased. And most importantly, the army controlled everything. If a general had loyal troops, he could declare himself emperor, and many did. Rome was no longer governed by law or tradition, it was governed by force. That was the world Diocletian inherited in 284 AD. Diocletian did not come from noble blood. He was born into a modest family in the Balkans. He rose through military ranks. He understood the army, he understood power. And when he became emperor, he knew one thing clearly: Rome could not survive another half-century like this. Something radical had to change. The first problem was geography. Rome was massive. From Britain in the northwest, to Egypt in the south, to Syria in the east. Travel across the empire could take months. Communication was slow. By the time news of an invasion reached the emperor, the damage was already done. Diocletian realized a simple truth: one emperor was not enough. In 286 AD, he appointed Maximian as co-emperor. Maximian ruled the western half of the empire. Diocletian ruled the east. 2 emperors, 2 courts, 2 administrative centers. Rome was still officially one empire, but it was no longer ruled from one mind. This alone was revolutionary. But Diocletian went further. In 293 AD, he introduced the Tetrarchy, 4 rulers, 2 senior emperors called Augusti, 2 junior emperors called Caesars. Each governed a specific region, each commanded armies, each responsible for defending their borders directly. This was not division born from weakness, it was strategic decentralization. Instead of one emperor trying to solve 4 crises at once, each ruler handled their own front. For the first time in decades, Rome became efficient again. Borders stabilized. Germanic invasions were repelled more quickly. Persian threats were managed. Rebellions were crushed before spreading. The empire began to feel secure. Diocletian also restructured provinces into smaller administrative units. He separated military command from civil administration to reduce rebellion risks. Governors could no longer easily turn into warlords. This was political engineering, and it worked, at least for a time. But Diocletian didn't stop at military reform. He tackled the economy. Inflation had destroyed Roman currency. To fix this, he introduced new coinage with more stable metal content. He also issued the famous Edict on Maximum Prices in 301 AD. It set price limits on goods and wages across the empire. The goal was simple: stop runaway inflation. But controlling prices across such a vast territory was nearly impossible. Many merchants ignored the edict. Black markets grew. Enforcement was inconsistent. The economy stabilized somewhat, but not perfectly. Still, Diocletian slowed the bleeding. Then came one of his most controversial decisions. He transformed the image of the emperor. Earlier emperors tried to appear humble. Diocletian rejected that entirely. He wore luxurious robes, jewels, golden crowns. He required subjects to kneel before him. He adopted the title Dominus, meaning Lord or Master. The emperor was no longer first citizen, he was divine authority. This shift changed Rome psychologically. The old Roman Republic identity was gone. In its place stood an absolute monarchy. Yet Diocletian believed his greatest achievement was succession planning. The tetrarchy was designed for smooth transition. After 20 years of rule, the senior emperors would retire. The Caesars would become Augusti. New Caesars would be appointed. No civil war, no power struggle, no chaos. In 305 AD, Diocletian did something unprecedented. He abdicated voluntarily. He retired to his palace in Dalmatia. He left power behind peacefully. For the first time in Roman history, succession followed a plan, at least initially. Soon after his retirement, cracks appeared. Ambition returned. The sons of former emperors demanded power. Generals rallied armies. Loyalty shifted. Within years, multiple claimants were fighting for control. Civil wars erupted again. The tetrarchy began to collapse. Because power shared is power contested, and Rome had never learned how to share peacefully. Eventually, one man emerged victorious: Constantine. He reunited the empire under his sole rule, but something fundamental had changed. The East and West had developed differently. They had separate capitals, separate administrative systems, separate political cultures. Even after reunification, the psychological division remained, and after Constantine's death, division returned permanently. The Eastern Roman Empire grew stronger, richer, more urbanized. Its capital, Constantinople, became a global center. The Western Roman Empire struggled. Economic decline, political instability, barbarian invasions intensified. In 476 AD, the western half officially fell. The eastern half, later known as the Byzantine Empire, survived nearly another 1,000 years. Diocletian did not intend this outcome, but his reforms made it structurally possible. So did he save Rome? Or did he split it beyond repair? The answer is complex. Without Diocletian, Rome might have collapsed in the 3rd century. He restored stability, strengthened borders, improved administration, reduced internal chaos. But in stabilizing the empire, he transformed it. He shifted Rome from a unified classical empire into a divided late antique state. His division was practical, but history has consequences beyond intention. When you divide authority, you create regional identity. When regions grow independently, they grow differently. And when crises return, they do not always unite again. Diocletian did not destroy Rome. He did not lose a catastrophic war. He did not suffer dramatic defeat. He made reforms, strategic reforms, calculated reforms. But even the smartest reforms reshape history in unpredictable ways. Rome survived the 3rd century because of him, but Rome was never the same again. It became two worlds within one empire, and eventually, two empires entirely. One would fall in the west, one would endure in the east. All because one emperor believed Rome was too vast for one man to rule. History rarely offers perfect solutions. It offers trade-offs. Diocletian chose survival over unity, order over tradition, division over collapse, and for a time, it worked. But sometimes, the solution to a crisis becomes the foundation of a future divide.